And we are back. This is Hasbro's continued coverage of San Diego Comic-Con 2024. You guys are going to definitely want to stick around for the next segment. Foodies, do you love to eat? Do you love Dungeons & Dragons? Well, I know I do. You guys are in luck. I am sitting here with the authors of the 10-Speed Press Heroes Feast series of Dungeons & Dragons cookbooks, Mr. Kyle Newman, Jon Peterson, and Mike Witwer. How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for being with us at San Diego Comic-Con.
Thrilled to be here. Amazing.
Wow, it's a lot. It is a lot around us. You can't see this on screen, but oh wow, it's a lot.
It is a lot. We are in the new Hasbro Pulse streaming studio. This is all brand new. What do you guys think about the studio?
It's unbelievable. I can't believe you can set this up like, wow.
We're up here in the clouds. I love it. There's a whole second story, and we're looking out on this incredible, expansive convention. It's awesome.
It is. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's actually like another world, which is a great segue into what we're talking about right now. You guys are the authors of the Dungeons & Dragons series by 10-Speed Press, Heroes Feast series of cookbooks, which is fantastic, because normally when you think about classic gaming, you think about classic Dungeons & Dragons, of course, from TSR, Hasbro, all the great gaming companies. But you guys put a really cool spin on it. You actually made a cookbook based on the food in the series. Tell me more about that. Where did that come from?
Well, I mean, we had done this book that was a successful book, I'd say, that was called Art and Arcana with 10-Speed Press. Yeah. And it turns out 10-Speed Press also is in the cookbook business. And so really, this was not our idea to do this. But as soon as we started looking at D&D through that culinary lens, because food has always been a big part of D&D, we found there was an opportunity to tell stories about how gaming and food interact, and because gaming is such a social experience and eating is such a big part, whatever you're eating with your friends around the table, it just seemed like a chocolate and peanut butter moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is I was telling Mike earlier, I used to be a chef. My life grew up around food and everything. I was not really a gaming individual, but you know what? You guys have married food, which is something that everyone can really relate to the gaming experience. I'm excited now. I actually want to learn more about D&D. It's sort of this great sort of segue and portal for people, to learn more about Dungeons & Dragons. Was that your intent?
What makes the book special is they're programmed with lore, a lot of in-universe facts, cultural things, religions, holidays, So we take into account the different calendars of the different planets in the multiverse, and the different cultures of people, and what they bring to the table, how they live, how they would eat, what's at their disposal. If they live underground, obviously they don't have livestock. So all of that's factored into the types of recipes, but it's grounded in the familiar, and everything's just a step left of the familiar. So it's chicken, but in a way you maybe haven't experienced it before, or pork in a new way, and it's all flavored to enhance your campaign and imbue your game table with another dimension. So if you're going into an elven realm, you maybe can bring elven food to the table rather than Cheetos. You've got something that ties into the lore and kind of adds that extra level of immersion, because when you're playing fantasy role-playing games, you want immersion. And so that's what we were trying to do. Give you lore, give you immersion. You're already spending 4 or 5 hours at the table. Why not do it with D&D authentic fantasy food and, stimulate that adventure even more?
Yeah. Flavors of the Multiverse. It was out. It's still out. We can get it. Coming up in October, the Deck of Many Morsels. Available October, pre-order right now. You guys have got it. Now, these are actually recipe cards.
So this has got 20 recipes from Heroes Feast 1, which was a New York Times bestseller, and it became a TV show, which is on Plex and Freevee.
Yep.
And there's we're in those, so you can see us talking lore for 3 or 4 minutes an episode.
It's an
hour-long show. Lots of great celebrities come on. And then there's 20 recipes from book 2, Flavors of the Multiverse, and there's 10 new recipes which aren't available in either book. So this is awesome. And these are all, when we first touched it, we were so impressed because they're sturdy, they're heavy. You don't have to get your book out and get it all dirty. You take out the one recipe you want to do, you set it up. Everything's all contained on one single recipe card.
Do we dare to open the box?
We should open it.
Why don't you, Kyle? You're closest.
Yeah, by all
Why don't
means.
you open it? And Mike, you can probably tell us a bit about what's
Well,
some of the...
yeah.
And while you're doing that, is your goal? I mean, I'm thinking right now, after looking at this, a perfect night, Dungeon Dragons, and actually making the recipes and eating them and drinking them while you're playing D&D.
Absolutely. When we first got into the idea of doing a D&D cookbook, honestly, as John said, we had just come off doing this big, massive visual history, this art book. Had a great experience with 10 Speed, Penguin Random House. And when the idea came to us, we were not interested in doing a gimmicky cookbook. Oh, look, D&D chicken fingers, how exciting. No, we wanted to do something that was really like, we want to level up the gaming experience. That was the idea, level up the immersion. By the time that book came out, the first book in 2020, D&D was on a roll. D&D had actually become bigger than it's ever been. Over the last years,
It has been big. Dungeon Dragons has exploded into pop culture and into the zeitgeist right now.
100%. And again, this game is now 50 years old. And so one thing that we had been thinking a lot about is, gosh, how does a game that's 50 years old become a superstar in the digital age? It's this dusty old tabletop game. And ultimately, again, one of the reasons I think that it's really done well, we could talk about actual play. There's a lot of things that have kind of contributed, but one of the things that's contributed is that D&D is a lifestyle brand now.
Yeah.
It's something where people are not good enough just saying, well, once a week I'm going to play with my friends. They want to get together. They want to cook some food together. And one reason, as this thing, I got to tell you, probably no one is more surprised than us that we've got a Heroes Feast franchise now.
Absolutely.
But there was a hunger for it, pun intended.
Yeah.
And the truth is, again, between the first book, the second book, the show, when we thought about doing this deck, one thing we thought about was, one thing about some of these recipes is that they're involved. They're actually real deal recipes. We teamed up with Adam Reed from America's Test Kitchen to actually develop the recipes.
Wonderful.
So, I mean, these are real deal culinary treats. However, not always super practical to make if you've got a game night and you've got a bunch of stuff to prep. So let's give people a little bit easier kind of, a little bit abridged recipes, a little bit easier things to put together, like some of the things we showed earlier. So that was part of the intent with the Deck of Many Morsels, which, by the way, is a play on Deck of Many Things. If you know that, that's a D&D magical item from the game. So we had a lot of fun with it.
So the Deck of Many Morsels is really an abridged version for the everyman.
You could also pull something
And anyone who might not have a full kitchen, you can make this.
Yeah, you could also at the end of your campaign, at a session, make next week, everyone pull a card. This is what you're going to make next week, and have fun with it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And like I said, everything is all on a single card, and there's even some room for a little bit of lore, which is great. So it's super simple, and these aren't the 4-hour prep recipes. These are the ones that you could probably pull off pretty quickly, even impromptu. And it's great if you're not playing D&D. It's not your game night, right? You want to just experience D&D on an off night. Just pull something out. There's a lot of things that are good for 1 or 2 people. You know, it's not like you have to plan a feast every time.
Yep.
The Thanksgiving level, there's a lot of simple things.
A lot of
Just
finger
to liven
food.
your night. Finger foods, yeah.
Forge boards, charcuterie boards, that type of thing.
Now, I have to ask you guys, because you are so into D&D, you're so into food, and you are the authors behind these incredible cookbooks. Do you have a favorite recipe? I want to go around here from every one of you.
I mean, visually, the green ice rhyme is beautiful. There's a recipe in the deck, and it's also in Flavors of the Multiverse, and it's like a misty gelatinous cube kind of thing, a little tiny things, and it's great texture. It's just strange and unique, and you're like, okay, this is maybe what a food from another universe would
Beautiful.
taste and feel like.
Yeah. You got a favorite?
Oh gosh, there's a lot. From the first book, again, I could give you favorites from each thing.
Yeah.
Dragon salmon is the one that actually stands out to me.
Dragon salmon.
It's a really spectacular. It's a salmon dish, as you could probably tell, with this beautiful butter and shallot sauce that just blew me away the first time I ever had it. As I mentioned, we didn't go cheap on developing these recipes.
Right.
Worked with America's Test Kitchen. Adam came up with some brilliant things based on basically lore that we gave him, specific dishes that you eat, in this case in Eberron.
Right.
And Adam comes back with this thing, we go back and forth, and we get these wonderful dishes. So dragon salmon.
Do you have a favorite?
I mean, I may have to go with a drink,
Okay.
which is
You
the
can go
Mind
with-
Flayer.
Okay.
Which, you can think of as kind of like a vodka slushy. But, I promise it will flay your mind.
Beautiful.
We've
Beautiful.
got coffees in here. There's things for breakfast. There's lunch. It's not all dinner too.
It's everything.
It's across the board. It's a full experience. There's things for holidays. So there's applicable, relatable holiday. You go, oh, this is why we have a turkey in our first book.
You can
and
have a
things like
Dungeon Dragons holiday meal.
100%.
And then
Absolutely.
play, and then
100%.
everyone went over for a holiday.
And we shot in. Book 1 was beautiful. Book 2, we wanted to level up. We shot in a real castle.
Yeah.
So the photography is
And
exquisite.
I do want to say, I took a time to look through the book beforehand. The photography is top notch.
The
It's
multi-moons.
absolutely- I thought I was
Man.
actually looking through like a travel book, a high-end cookbook, that you'd find at a Michelin star. It's fantastic, beautiful, top quality stuff.
Yeah, the food preparation, the quality, all the original art too. It's all very impressive, and the way it works with us is we'll conceive of something. We'll say, okay, we're in this world, or this is what the cooking conditions or parameters might be. Eberron might be a little more advanced than, say, Greyhawk. So you try and factor those things into it, and how exotic it gets, and what's at the fingertips of the chef.
Sure.
And create a recipe list based on those, and work in collaboration with Adam to then bring it to life. Another one I think is really good, if we're talking hearty, in this book, is it's a spicy sausage chickpea stew. Pretty hefty thing, but simple to make, and you let it cook and you serve it out, and it's kind of like, feels like you get that in an inn. So those type of things are also fun because it feels like it's a D&D texture food.
I love it. All right. Flavors of the Multiverse, out now. Deck of Many Morsels. Pre-order coming out in October. Wonderful gifts. Pick them up for yourself. I know you guys have a lot going on. Before I leave, one final question. You guys have the books. You've spawned the TV series. What's next? Can you, and I'm going to say it right now, can you see yourselves opening a restaurant?
We're not going to open a restaurant, but one thing that is coming next,
Yeah.
when I mentioned that Art and Arcana book earlier,
Yeah.
we have a little surprise.
Little
which
surprise.
Is a revision to
Okay.
the Art and Arcana book that is specific to the 50th anniversary of D&D. And for those who bought the original, there's a lot that's familiar in it. But, we just tried to level everything up a little bit. There's a
love it.
whole set of new gatefolds. These feature some art that we were not able to fit in, or that we hadn't even found yet, that we could get our hands on that original art when we did the first version. And so we hope that is a fitting tribute to the 50th anniversary year of Dungeons & Dragons.
Revised cover. And the first book, we're very proud of it. It was a New York Times, wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but it was a Hugo-nominated book.
Beautiful.
And we really feel like it was a worthy time to revisit it because of the things that were unearthed.
Yeah.
And if you have it, it's definitely worth checking out, the new version. And if you haven't, now's the perfect time, because
Perfect
it's a great time to look back at D&D's origins.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. You guys at home, check it out. Flavors of the Multiverse. Deck of Many Morsels. Have a Dungeons and Dragons evening. Thank you so much. You guys, we are going to be back with Hasbro's continued coverage of San Diego Comic-Con 2024. Go play some Dungeons and Dragons. Have a good one. Come on back. We'll see you soon.